race 2A is about to get underway here at Donington, and we've got Joe Wiggins starting on pole position. Now, John Langridge, who is currently leading in the championship standings, is down in third with Will Blackwell-Chambers, as you all know, the previous 2 years championship winner, starting right behind him. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. We're going to hand it straight over to Andy to run you through all of the action.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Yeah, the result from race 1 forming the grid for race 2 then. So it is Wigan and Foden on the front row with Langridge and Blackwell-Chambers once again sharing row 2, but the other way around this time. Bessel and Pollard are on row 3 ahead of Seb Fisher and Jason Greatrex, then Dave Turton and Ollie Graham to round out the top 10. Next up is Charles Mugglestone and David Waters ahead of Jack Moody and Jack Rawls, the pair of Jacks on row 7. Will Hayden's on row 8 with Fraser Fennick, then Charlie Rawls and Alan Hawkins, Nick Ledoyen and Ollie Jenkins to round out the top 20. Michael Close is 21st on the grid, set for some more close racing, I'm sure, with Ian Blake alongside him. Clive Chisnall and Callum Greatrex next. Then our 5 promoted drivers from the B race are Ollie Allwood, Jack Brewer, Matt Luff, Martin Tolley and Marcus Bailey at the back of the grid. So for the second time this weekend then, the A grid is underway at Donington Park. A good start made by, well, all of the top 3 or 4 drivers really. We're on board with Martin Tolley. They're 5 abreast in the midfield, but I think they might have been 3 abreast for the race lead there. Down into Redgate corner, Wigan gets the inside line. Blackwell-Chambers goes right around the outside of everybody though and gets into second place and nearly snatches the lead away. So Blackwell-Chambers does a really good start there, gets into second place. Langridge down to 3rd, and Steve Foden will slip all the way down to 4th place. Bessel and Greatrex side by side for 5th, but Will Blackwell-Chambers is rather fired up, I think, this afternoon. He wants to make sure that he takes some of those points back out of Langridge. Remember, he lost 4 points to Langridge after the previous race, so 8 points separate them now in Langridge's favour. So Blackwell-Chambers needs to try and do something to redress that situation, if at all possible, in this second race of the weekend. So on board with Steve Foden then, up towards the top of the hill at McLean's, looking back at Adam Bessel then. We're running in 4th place at the moment. Right on the tail though of John Langridge, and we know that Foden's got good speed this weekend, so he'll be looking to try and get himself another podium finish if it's all possible. The field screeched their way through Coppice Corner, the Avon tyres being given a real work over here on these cars as they head through the high-speed right-handers at the top of the track, then back down towards us, and Will Blackwell-Chambers has to defend from John Langridge, who immediately pulls up to the outside to attack for second place. He won't go right round the outside there, but again, by forcing Blackwell-Chambers to defend to the inside, he opens up the possibility that he'll get a better exit than Will, but actually, they came off the corner fairly equally on that occasion. Foden then still in 4th place, but Alan Bessel looked really late round the outside on the brakes, really late on the brakes, and might just have been able to get past at least one of them, maybe 2 of them. We'll try and find that out in a moment or two. Towards the back of the field, there's Graham Rumsey. He's dropped down a few places, and then behind him was, by the looks of it, that was Marcus Bailey, I think, wasn't it? No, Ivan Leary was the man right behind him, I think. So out across the line, then we go. At the end of lap number 1, it is Wigan that leads the way. Blackwell-Chambers a few car lengths behind him because, of course, Will is sort of more preoccupied with keeping Langridge at bay than he is going after Wigan, but really he needs to try and win this race if he can, Will Blackwell-Chambers. He now has 1 win less than Joe Wiggin does. Joe now is clear as the most winningest driver of the season. 6 victories for Joe, 5 for Blackwell-Chambers. So Will definitely will have one eye on Joe Wiggin as he continues to just creep up onto the tail of these 2 in the championship race. It's probably coming a little bit too late in the championship for Joe Wiggin, but nonetheless it's been a stunning run of form, and if he does stick around in the championship for next year, which it sounds like he's considering, if he's thinking about sticking a new engine in the car for next year, then he is almost certainly going to come in as arguably the championship favourite, really, when you consider this is still his first season of racing MX-5s, whereas the likes of Blackwell-Chambers and Langridge have been doing this for several seasons now. The worrying thing here, though, for everyone else is that Joe Wiggin is winning all of these races and still complaining that his car's not quick enough. So if he ever did get a brand new engine in that car, or a maybe slightly more powerful engine, then he could be even harder to beat. Wiggin, though, trying his best now to fend off Blackwell-Chambers. He was a bit closer this time into the braking zone at the chicane. The thing is, though, I know that Joe Wiggin's winning all of these races, but he's not winning them by a country mile. He's still having to fight for them, so it's not like his car is any quicker than anybody else's. He's just driving it very, very well. And again, you can see here, he's not running away from anyone else behind him. He's just sort of keeping them all at bay, and it's a 6-car pack of cars now fighting for the lead. So 5 drivers trying to find a way past him. So far, none of them have been able to. It's a 6-car train because Jason Greatrex, excuse me, is with them. Jason always goes well here at Donington Park as well. former podium finisher here at Donington a couple of years ago, I seem to remember. So Jason, very, very rapid racer at most circuits, particularly the Welsh circuits it seemed this year, but here at Donington Park he is driving very well as well. John Langridge though, another super late out braking move up the inside of Blackwell Chambers into second position, and he's through. Didn't run too wide on the exit of the corner there, kept Blackwell Chambers behind him, so Will frustratedly now has to stare at the back of that grey number 5 car once again. John Langridge into second place, but look at the time it's losing them to the leader. Wigan is starting to pull away, that's the last thing that these two need. Adam Bessel trying his hardest to get himself onto the podium again as well, to add to that trio of podiums from Anglesey a couple of months ago. He might have a chance here because he's tighter through McLean's than Blackwell Chambers is, but no, Will carried enough momentum off the corner to fend him off. But Joe Wiggin, look at the gap that Wiggins got, look at that, that's getting on for a couple of seconds already now, and having just said that he doesn't often win these races by a huge margin, all of a sudden it looks like he might be able to this time. On board with Martin Tolley meanwhile, oh, diving up the inside of the number 95 car, Ian Blake there. Nice move into Copper's corner, and Martin had a bit of a disaster in qualifying, ended up in the B grid for race 1, finished fourth place, sorry, in race 1B, which was enough to earn him a spot on the A grid this time around. He's doing everything he can to stay out of the relegation zone this time around as well. Blackwell Chambers doing everything he can to get back ahead of John Langridge, but in doing so he runs the risk of allowing Bessel through. Adam Bessel's going to be quicker off the corner. Blackwell Chambers gets 2 wheels almost into the dirt there coming off the Melbourne hairpin. And Adam Bessel certainly will be alongside him. Behind it looked as though Steve Foden might have lost another place as well, so we'll try and sort all of that out when they come across the start-finish line this time. There's Wiggin, no doubt about him leading. Langridge is still second, then Blackwell Chambers third, fourth for Bessel, fifth is Greatrex, so Greatrex is ahead of Steve Foden now, who's down to sixth, and then seventh position. Who's that in seventh? Is that Matt Pollard? I think it might be the number 55 car. And then Seb Fisher, so we're seeing some really, really interesting names mixing it at the front of the field now. Drivers getting used to these new tyres maybe, or maybe just Donington Park, a circuit that is a very popular circuit for testing and track days, so maybe that the drivers have a little more experience of this place than some of the other circuits we race at, but I don't know what it is, but we're certainly seeing a much more competitive field at the front, rather than just the same sort of drivers finishing in the top 5 places. We're seeing some drivers appearing in the top 5 or 6 now that we haven't really seen there all year so far, so always nice to see new names appearing at the sharp end. John Langridge and Will Blackwell Chambers, though, 2 names that we've become very accustomed to seeing at the front of these fields this season. And Langridge would very much like to stay in front of Will Blackwell Chambers if at all possible. Jason Greatrex, though, is on a mission. Look, he's got past Steve Foden, and now he's up the inside of Adam Bessel, and that's 4th position that he's taking away at Coppice Corner. Back with Martin Tolley, meanwhile, on his charge up the order. Another group of 3 cars in front of us now as we head into that same right-hander, and we go up the inside, do we? No room through. Lots of different lines being taken by the cars in front of us. The white car there with the multicoloured flashes, that looks as though that's Alan Hawkins. So Alan, another driver who we've maybe been more accustomed to seeing in the B grids thus far this season, but he's been solidly in the top 20 all weekend. Down to the Melbourne hairpin, this group just starting to fragment slightly now, with Greatrex getting ahead of Bessel. That's sort of held those cars up from 5th on back. It's allowed, 4th on back I should say, it's allowed the top 3 to pull away slightly. Charles Muddlestone also slipping down the order slightly now compared to where he was in race 1. Car in front of him slides out wide though, so I'd been able to gain another place. There's Martin Tolley. Look, he's got himself up the inside of Alan Hawkins. He's already got past the 263 of Fraser Fennick. That's the blue and black car on the left hand side of your screen. In fact, Fennick and Hawkins now running wheel to wheel behind Tolley into the Goddard's hairpin. There's Wiggin, your leader, then Langridge and Blackwell Chambers second and third, then Greatrex, Bessel, Foden, Pollard. And who's that behind Pollard? That might have been Ollie Graham. No, Ollie Allwood, I think it is, isn't it? The blue and white number 63. So where did Ollie Allwood start? Somewhere down the order, I seem to recall. And yet, Allwood, in fact, yes, he started 28th. He was the winner of our first B race. And Ollie Allwood is already into the top 10. That's been a spectacular drive from Allwood, who again has had flashes of pace this year. And another good performance here. It's just a shame in a way that he qualified so badly and ended up in the B grid to start the weekend off. Into McLean's, then they go. Wiggin is going to take some catching in this race. The real question, I think, is going to be what happens behind. Langridge, Blackwell Chambers and Greatrex, who is catching Blackwell Chambers certainly at this stage. Looks set to debate the final steps on the podium between them. coppice they go then, in the shadow of the air traffic control building for the East Midlands Airport, which is just the other side of the perimeter fence here at Donington Park. Meaning that when you come to spectate at Donington, you don't only get to enjoy racing cars going past you very quickly, but also some spectacular views of aircraft taking off and landing from the airport next door. It's got a bit of everything as Donington Park, and you can understand why it's such a popular venue for racing. Drivers will have to try and avoid being distracted by low-flying aircraft, which, believe it or not, is something that the drivers do have to contend with every now and again. And the outside there goes the 72 car, meanwhile, back to the racing. Matt Luff there going around the outside of Michael Close, I think that was. No, Jack Rawls, 177, not 117. So Jack Rawls losing a place there, potentially, through the Melbourne loop. Across the start-finish line comes Joe Wiggin then. Not looking like he's being caught massively here by Langridge, so far so good for Joe to go and get yet another race victory. This would be remarkably his 7th win of the season in almost as many races, if he can hold on to it to the flag, that is. There's Steve Foden, and there, look, is Ollie Allwood. So Allwood is into 7th place already. We're only about halfway through this race. He started 28th, and the white and blue car there at the back of that group is not done yet, I don't think, because he looks quicker than Foden and Bessel in front of him. The top 5 is definitely on the cards here for Allwood, maybe even a podium if he can get past these drivers quickly enough. There is the number 63 car. All running wide in front of him was not Foden, I think it was Greytrex that was running wide just up the road. So they may both have got a run on the Welshman now. Up the hill, looking back from Foden. Behind us is Allwood. In front of us somewhere is Jason Greytrex. We're going to the inside line. Now, was that to attack or defend? I think it might have been the latter. Oh no, we're still on the inside line. No, we are up the inside of Bessel. So Foden going through on the inside of Adam Bessel then. Not Greytrex, excuse me, it's Adam Bessel that was in front of them. He ran wide, he lost the momentum, and he's losing 2 places now because Allwood comes past him as well. So another place gain for Ollie Allwood. That one was fairly straightforward. Steve Foden prized the door open for him, and now he's got a run. You can see the toe coming into effect there, and Allwood goes to the inside of Steve Foden. This has been a brilliant drive so far from Ollie Allwood, and he's gained another place, makes it look remarkably easy into the chicane there, and Allwood is now knocking on the door of, well, certainly a top 5. Can he catch this group maybe to challenge for a podium place? That was not beyond the realms of possibility. As I say, he's still got just under half the race to go, and there you can see he's ahead of Foden now. Steve, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to have the speed in this race that he's shown so far this weekend. Maybe a little frustrated at having got sort of sucked back into the pack a little bit in this one. Finished 2nd place in race 1, therefore started on the front row again for this race, and probably wouldn't have been expecting to be dropping outside of the top 5 in this one, but that is what's happened. And sometimes when things start going wrong, it just snowballs and you lose your concentration, you start trying too hard. Maybe that's what's happened to Steve Foden. We'll wait and see though. He's got time yet to try and retaliate, or maybe work with Allwood, seeing how quick Allwood is in this race. Maybe he can work with Allwood to close back in on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place battle that's going on. Not really a battle anymore, is it, in front of them, because Greytrex has definitely been dropped by Langridge and Blackwell Chambers. Those two aren't particularly close to each other either, so the leaders separating themselves ever so slightly now as we go into the 2nd half of the race. Most of the action, it's got to be said, has been behind them, actually, after the first couple of laps. They've allowed Wiggin to pull away out in front, and I really don't think they're going to catch him now. The hill into the sweeping right-hander and planes. Look at the way that Allwood is getting away from Foden. I think he can catch Greytrex. I definitely think that Ollie Allwood can catch Jason Greytrex here and go for 4th place before the flag. Whether or not he's got the pace or to the point the time required to catch the top 3, I don't know, but 4th place from 28th would not be a bad result. 5th place from 28th isn't a bad result, and that's where he's running at the moment. Over the hump in the Exhibition Straight, where the Dunlop Bridge once stood. Now, though, it's a clear view down that straight into the chicane, avoid the tyre stack on the inside line. Wiggin leading still, but look what's going on behind. Oh, well, now hang on, this wasn't in the script for Allwood. Steve Foden's coming back at him now, the inside into Melbourne, and he's reclaiming 5th position on board with Foden. Allwood can't get back up the inside on the exit of the corner, so Steve has made that one stick nicely. And the number 77 car goes back ahead. Allwood, though, sniffing back up the inside, look into the Goddard's hairpin. He was really feeling brave. He might have just sent it up the inside. Instead, he goes to the outside. And watch for the better exit. Look how much earlier he gets on the power, straightens the wheel out sooner as well, carries more speed off the corner and might be able to attack into Redgate turn once more. Meanwhile, we're on board with Clive Chisnall now. That's Mike Close to the left, I believe, in front of us. And Two cars running side by side in front. Ollie Allwood is trying to get up the inside of Steve Foden meanwhile. And Steve puts him on the grass basically, but he was entitled to hold his line there with Steve. Ollie Allwood not able to get past him. But he's back alongside again, is he, through Hollywood, goes to the outside through the right-hander, using the inside for the left at Craner Curves. He keeps his foot fully planted, and that was some real commitment there from Allwood. He's back in front of Foden. Just can't shake him off there, really, can he? This is the problem that I outlined earlier on. If you can't break the toe, if you can't pull away from the cars behind, they're just going to draft right back up to you. And so for Allwood to have any chance, I think, of going after Greatrex in front of him, his chances of doing that having slimmed slightly now anyway, because he's wasted a lap or so dicing with Foden once again. But if he is going to go after him, he needs to shake off Steve, I think, or come up with some sort of a plan with Steve to work together. But that doesn't seem to be on Steve's agenda right now. He's in it for himself. He wants another top 5 finish if he can. So gap there from Wigan to Langridge. Langridge to Blackwell Chambers is still a few car lengths. Blackwell Chambers back to Greatrex is an even bigger gap. This is the gap we're watching there, really, from the red and white car in 4th place to the white and blue car of Ollie Allwood in 5th. Will he be able to drag Steve Foden along with him, I wonder? Down the hill we go then into the final third of the race now. On board with Martin Tolley. 177 is Jack Rawls behind us. So Tolley, having got past Rawls a few laps ago, hasn't got away from him. So Martin seems to have found his natural spot in the traffic now, doesn't he? This is about where you'd expect to see him run. So Martin Tolley, the black-fronted car, turns through, gets a bit of a love tap there from Jack Rawls behind him. Oh, and side-by-side action behind as well. It's all getting rather dicey. Looking back at Martin, I do enjoy this rearward-facing camera. You really see the driver at work behind the wheel. And then here, another rearward-facing camera to show all of the other drivers hard at work trying to get past him, but Martin is actually getting away from him slightly now as they come out onto the pit straight again. So Tolley not likely though to catch David Waters, who I think is the next car up the road. So Tolley likely to stay in what I believe is 12th place at the moment. Side by side behind him though, look, Charles Mugglestone on the inside, Jack Brewer number 93 sorry, on the outside line, the yellow and red car, looking to try and tee up that switchback manoeuvre. Through the Craners again though, and no change in the order right now. Blue car there, is that Dave Turton? Yes, it is, number 30, right behind Jack Rawls. The level of trust and judgment required to fire those cars through the old hairpin inches apart from each other beggars belief, it really does. They may not be travelling enormously quickly, but it's quick enough to catch your attention, that corner in these cars, and if you make a mistake, that'll certainly catch your attention. And they are literally inches between front and rear bumper through there. It's fantastic to watch, but the level of skill required, even for drivers that are racing within the midfield, you know, the level of commitment is just the same. And the level of skill to avoid contact in that situation really is immense. Jack Brewer looking in the background, trying to get back up the inside of somebody into the chicane. Whether or not he made that stick, I'm not too sure. There goes Adam Bessel. He's behind Seb Fisher now, so Bessel's race has started to unravel slightly, having looked really promising earlier on. Look at Jack Brewer. He's up the inside of Mugglestone now into the Melbourne hairpin, and he keeps on coming and makes it stick, but runs out wide. Now, who comes out of this on top? It's almost certainly not going to be either of those two. No, it's not. It's one of the AB Motorsport cars, Matt Luff, I think that was, that came past them both. It's always the way. If you go in on the tight line into Melbourne, you're likely to run wide through the middle and lose ground, but that doesn't happen to Dave Turton, who executes a really nice outbraking manoeuvre on Jack Rawls there to move up into 13th place. So Dave Turton gaining a spot there, nicely done as well, the inside. Jack Brewer is still side by side with somebody. Is this still Mugglestone? I think it might be. Heading into the brain, no, it's not Mugglestone, is it? It's number 65, oh, it's Will Hayden that he's side by side with now. Mugglestone was the red and white car just in front of them, and Brewer once again single file off the corner, but then immediately back up the inside. He's been side by side, I think, for most of the race, certainly most of the last lap or so. And again though, he's going to lose outlook because he gets his nose chopped off and almost loses a place in the process there to Marcus Bailey, who's another driver that came through from the B grid earlier on. So did Jack Brewer, in fact, and so did Matt Luff. So I think it looks like all of the B grid drivers from race 1 are potentially going to do enough to get out of the relegation zone in this race. Like Michael Closer at risk at the moment in this one. Graham Rumsey likewise has dropped to the back of the field, so they look like they may end up getting relegated. There's a chance, I think, that Michael Close might be able to get himself out of the relegation zone, but it's all very, very tight further back in the battle for what is about 28th place for the 28th place back. Looks like it will be the relegation zone, which would make sense with a 32 car grid, I guess. So those bottom 5 finishers, or the first 5 non-finishers, could end up getting relegated, and Chap Brewer nearly did get into the side of Mugglestone. I think he might have done, because Mugglestone, I think I saw getting sideways then, and that, I fear, has ended in tears. Yes, there's no sight of Mugglestone there in the background. We're on board with Martin Tolley, looking back at Dave Turton and Jack Rawls, who are side by side again. And Jack looks like he's going to retake this 13th place now as we go on to the final lap. But Charles Mugglestone, I fear, has found himself off into the gravel down at the chicane at the hands of Jack Brewer, and I think that may be discussed post-race, because that looked a little bit avoidable. Joe Wiggin, though, not a scratch on his car, because he really hasn't had to work too hard to win this race. There's no such thing as an easy race victory, as I'm sure he'll tell you, but once he made that break after the first lap or so, he really hasn't looked back. He's over 2 seconds clear, which in Mazda MX-5 racing terms is an absolute age. We very, very rarely see races won by more than a second or so at a push. Usually it's tenths of a second separating the top couple of cars, excuse me, but Joe Wiggin in dominant form at the moment, and this second win of the weekend. Well, he did win all 3 races at Snetterton, remember, back in June. Ago, 2 months ago I should say. So is he going to be able to do the same again here at Donington Park? Well, he's well on his way. Hand back out of the cockpit again to warn the drivers behind of the yellow flag, which they, I'm sure, will all be aware of anyway, and he doesn't really have to worry about them taking advantage of that situation either. The yellow flag is there because Charles Mugglestone's car is indeed in the gravel trap, so he's out of the race. Joe Wiggin, though, is only 2 corners from home now, and a 7th victory of the season, a 7th career victory as well, therefore, in this his first season of racing in the MX-5 Championship, and his 7th victory in the last 8 races. This is phenomenal stuff. It's also going to be his 10th podium finish of the year as well, as Joe Wiggin once again will take a couple of points out of his big title rivals. It may be too little too late for the championship, but my word, he's certainly putting on a show. Joe Wiggin takes the checkered flag. What a familiar sight that has become in the middle part of the season. John Langridge comes home in 2nd place, nearly 3 seconds back by the flag, with Will Blackwell Chambers a further couple of seconds behind him. They will be your podium finishers then. Ollie Allwood is 4th, Jason Greytrex 5th, Steve Foden 6th, Matt Pollard, Ollie Graham, Adam Bessel and Seb Fisher will round out the top 10 finishes. Allwood, arguably driver of the race there, came from 28th to finish 4th, set the fastest lap as well along the way. David Waters and Martin Tolley just outside the top 10, whilst Jack Rawls got the better of Dave Turton in their private battle. Then it was Matt Love. Jack Brewer was disqualified for that contact with Mugglestone, by the way, so both of them will be relegated, along with Graham Rumsey, Thomas Jenkins and Ivan Leary.
Joe, again, congratulations, but are you not a bit bored driving around by yourself?
No, it never gets boring when you're winning. So, thanks to the team, Tiger Motorsport, Eco Trailer, CN Signs, and everyone else that's helped out. And my missus and my little one, that's for them. They've come up here today to watch, and I know they didn't like the first one, but hopefully that was a bit less stressful for them.
So you're putting on a show for the family?
I wouldn't say that, but it's nice to actually do it in front of them. So, we've got one more race, and nice to get 3 wins, but I'm just happy with a podium, really. It's all we come here to do is just to get trophies, and to be the first one crossing the line, I'm over the moon, really.
Don't blame me. Well, congratulations again from us, and we'll see you in the final round.
Yeah, thank you very much.
John, giving us one hell of a show again. That battle with Will was pretty good.
Yeah, it was quite spicy at the start. It's quite important for both of us to beat each other, so it gets quite elbows out. But by the time I got settled down in 2nd, there was a bit of a gap to Joe. It was quite handy having a hare to catch, but doing the same pace, you're never going to catch up in a month of Sundays. So I was really pleased with the performance. The car's been great. Blink have done a great job putting it together for me. And with Fresh Cold and Cambridge FD here to watch, I'm super pleased to put on a show for them.
So starting alongside Joe in the final round today, have you got any plans to get ahead of him?
I think if we're getting a good start, I could be in the mix. It's hard on the outside here, but we've got Ollie Allwood in the mix now. He was coming through like a train in that race, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes off in this last one.
Brilliant. Well, we can't wait, and congratulations again, John.
Thanks very much.